Hello everybody. This video today is going to really focus just on what is relevant to the choices for the final. So I'm going to be going over first part of 115, Marine's Hymn. I did this before, I sent you links, but we're really only going to look at what's going to relate to the Bach Minuet. Now, I kind of did this before a little bit, but I'm going to put this all in one video. So here we go. Left hand, there is nothing new here. The right hand in the first two measures, what's new and sort of relates to the minuet in that it's a scale, is changing fingers on the same note. We don't quite do that in the minuet, but the concept here is, how do you reach for more notes? How do you manage to get more notes when you have only 5 fingers in a hand? At the end of that line, your hand that was up here just is going to move down. Now, what's directly relatable is line 2. And what we have here is the exact position of your hand if you can't see it well, that's the F sharp. So the position of your hand relates to the minuet. So what I'm going to do now, and I don't have the exact version that I gave you with me right now, but I know this song. I'm going to play the part you're doing at a moderate tempo. So that much can be done for your final. So you start in the G position, both hands. You reach just like the position at the bottom of 115. Octave reach. We talked about that in Can, and I do understand because we missed time with the pandemic, we didn't go over that in as much depth as I normally would have. But we went over it. So that's bigger intervals, stretching your hand out a little bit. So as I recall, maybe about 3 classes ago, I sent out a couple videos for the minuet, and I recall saying there are some variations with this piece, as there are with a lot of really old music where it's been copied over, different variations. You can play a variation that's slightly different. Now, don't get too crazy here. 8 measures, just the same amount. Occasionally there's a different note in the left hand or a like little decorations. If you find a version that you're watching and you like and you're capable of doing it well, that's fine. So get working on that, please, if this is your choice. If it's not your choice, and if your time is okay finishing up the term with all your classes, do it. It'll be fun. Now, we are going to look at 127. So now we're skipping over a lot, and I normally do that in 290. Some of the songs are a little lame, and usually we go over just concepts that are important and jump to 127. So that's not new. The reason I'm giving an alternative is because Jericho does have a few challenges. It has rhythmic challenges. It has syncopated notes. And it's in a different hand position. We're down here in this position. If we think of this as C position, this is A. It's really A minor. The key signature of A minor is no sharps or no flats. It is exactly the same as C major. They do go over the scales on page 126, and you can look over that if the theory is of interest to you or if you're going on in piano. If not, if you're graduating, if you're just done with piano, getting through the term, my suggestion is you just focus on learning the song without necessarily digging deeply into everything. So the syncopated notes are explained at the top of 127. What a syncopation is, it's an accent where a note hits early and it gives like an energetic feel. In this case, those high C's are the syncopated note. It's just the way that's hit. It comes before the beat. It gives it some energy, some characteristic. So, and then ragtime. If you know ragtime, like The Entertainer, I played a little bit of. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to play through. Oh, and let me say this first. I had thought this, and I don't believe I put this in writing. I was trying to think of how to make the final comparable given the circumstances, and given the fact that I don't see you and I can't take a little peek at what you're doing each class. I do ask people to send me videos if you're having trouble, but not too many people do. So because of that, there's an accommodation I'm making with this song. It's an accommodation I usually make every term, but I don't tell people in advance. Sometimes I want them to do everything, and then I give them the quiz song or I give them the limitations, because if I tell the limitations too soon, people sometimes skip things. So in Jericho, your choice, the entire song has a first ending in line 2. That means it would go repeat back to the beginning, go to the middle of the second line, and jump to the third line, which is the second ending. And in every single class, this is always confusing for some people. It's confusing because it's relatively new. We've had this a couple times in the book, and I'm not sure if we might have skipped one of those examples. But anything that's fairly new can be confusing, and I'm aware of that. So I'm going to let you play just the first 2 lines. If you want to go finish it, that's great. But we're not going to focus on that because I want to make sure that I choose an amount that is more doable. And if multiple people have issues, I want to make sure that I'm able to help everybody equally. So here we go. I'm going to play through 2 lines. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to then show you how the whole thing goes in case you want to do that. There's plenty of videos that do that. But then I'm going to come back and just go over a few points. So here we go. Moderate speed. You could stop there. This is the rest of that measure that leads back. Watch what I do. I skip to the third line. It's a little different. Okay, so looking at the very beginning, the challenge here is instead of being in a C position or a G position, your right hand is lower. They write that in for you. There are 2 ledger lines. C is the first ledger line. Underneath that is the second one, that's A, and we're going to cross. I don't know how well you can see that. My 2 finger goes over and down. My thumb stays. I'm going to do it here. You might see it better. I keep my thumb right there. I don't know if this is going to show. Okay, so that's something to work on, but I don't think I've really ever had anyone that really had a trouble with that. Once people get that, they get that. Repeating with the pinky, the 5 finger, is sometimes 5 and 4. These are a little less comfortable, shall we say. So as far as that rhythm, we've got syncopation, and I'm doing a swing feel. If I didn't do swing feel, it would be... Either's fine, but whichever one you do, be consistent. You can't go back and forth. If you're doing swing, you need to do it swing. So, if we look at left hand, now I don't know if this shows on the camera. My pinky is on an A, and then it goes down to E. I'm going to do that. I'm going to come up 1 octave. My pinky reaches down, and as long as my hand's up here, I'm going to go to the end of line 2. There's a rest, a stretch. So keep in mind, what I'm showing you is too high. But I'm bringing my hand up because I can't see the range of the video right now. So you're here, you reach down to E. It has 1 ledger line, but we're in bass clef. That's not a C, that is an E. You step up to a black note, up to a black note. And the fingering I'm using is the best. 5, 4, 3, 2. You reach your thumb and you cross over. Just like in the right hand, the thumb plays and the 2 goes over. You can kind of roll up your wrist a little bit. You don't want to be tense like this. You can just sort of like reach over a little bit. So at the end of line 2, you can end just by doing this. Now this is line 2, measure 3. And holding that out, that will sound complete. You could play that for a friend and it won't sound like you're stopping in the middle. There is the part that leads back. But that's not our concern right now. Our concern is doing part and doing it well, getting the notes correct and the rhythm correct. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm just going to scooch myself over a little bit, and I am going to play those 2 lines higher and then sign off. Here we go. And it's going to sound higher because it is higher, but I want to make sure you get a chance to see my left hand completely. Notice this is the same as the beginning. But this is different. This is the biggest challenge. And that's where you can end unless you feel comfortable with your time and you want to go back. But there are plenty of videos on YouTube where people show that with a camera that's aimed in a way that it gets the whole thing. So as far as how to practice that, the right hand's easy. The left hand is more challenging All you have to do is 4 notes. This is first ending. It's measure 3 in the middle line. You can stop there or reach. And that goes back. I'm not going to work on the last line. As I said, what it is, it's sort of a variation of this, but it's kind of right, left, right, left, right, left. And it always confuses a good portion of the class. They always get it. Everybody always gets it because I don't give up. But we don't have time for that now. Under the circumstances, it's just not necessary. You'll get the gist of the piece with this much. If you go on with piano at Drexel, your only option is private lessons. If you go on later on, perhaps you'll be teaching yourself. You can continue working in the book. There's a lot of videos, and there's even some instructors that put instruction on YouTube. And what the heck, maybe you'll get a private teacher, maybe you'll settle in, get your job, and then take lessons. Okay, I'm signing off. My focus between now and the end is just going to be on these choices of final and anybody that needs help finishing up the other quizzes. We left one quiz out. There's usually an additional quiz, but I'm leaving that out to make sure that we get everybody in. All right, bye-bye.